Tell me about the first song you did, Evening Bell.
Oh, okay. That was a composition by Bram Van Splunteren, Captain Beefheart, and it's a really difficult composition to play. It was very hard to learn as well. Don sent me a tape of him playing this on the piano, and I got the cassette in New York. I lived in New York. He was living out in the desert in Southern California back then. And I just sat with that tape and headphones and a tape recorder, a little cassette player, for about 6 weeks to 2 months, listening to it over and over again. I then proceeded to learn it on the guitar. Now, the way I did it was sequentially, in that every day I would learn maybe 5 seconds of the piece. That's how I would pace myself, just to find the notes on the guitar. You see, it was difficult enough. And of course, he's playing the piano, and the tape he gave me with 10 fingers. And I reminded him, Don, there's only 6 strings on a guitar. So he said, you better find another 4, man. Therefore, I can say, this is my version of him playing it. I don't think it would be possible for anyone to do it identically to the way he played the piano. But he did coach me after I thought I learned it, I sent him a tape. He said, yeah, that's pretty good, but you only know half of it. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I'm going to send you some more. So then he sent me another minute of him playing the piano and said, okay, tack this on to the piece that you just learned. So it was an awful lot of music, and every day I would just sit maybe 3-4 hours a day with the guitar and the tape, listening by ear, 5 seconds, about 2-3 measures a day, and eventually just memorized it. I didn't write it out. I can read and write music, but I figured the real way to get inside him and his music was to do it in this method.
Yeah, because, you had a classical training, right?
Yes, I did. I studied French horn and guitar for years. I played with Leonard Bernstein, played lead guitar in his Mass, his theater piece. I was in the European premiere in Vienna in 1973. Mm-hmm. But actually, to learn Captain Beefheart's music, I had to sort of disregard all the classical training that I had. I just had to throw it out the window and really learn how to sort of breathe like he did. The whole basis of the music that the Magic Band played, is really come straight out of Captain Beefheart's cerebellum, It's like the topography of his brain. Mm-hmm. And to really get the spirit of it, you have to just throw yourself into it, in the same sort of persona. Mm-hmm.
But what he writes, what he composes, it makes sense. It's not just...
oh, absolutely.
It's not just any...
It's not just random.
Right.
No, he has incredibly good taste, I always thought. As twisted and bizarre maybe as some of the melodies are, or harmonies, they seem to go all over the place. There's definitely a unity of thought there. Now, a lot of people listening to his music assume that it was just the musicians getting together and randomly improvising, because a lot of the... pieces, especially the more violent ones, approach cacophony, but every note was choreographed, and we didn't improvise or add anything of our own. Had we done that, we would have been thrown out of the band.
Because he wanted you to play his stuff.
Absolutely. No, he approached music like a modern classical composer, and we had to act as if we were playing in a symphony orchestra. And as you know, in a symphony, you wouldn't want to improvise on the piece that, everyone is playing in concert together, right?
Yeah.
It wouldn't work. So we definitely had to subordinate our own desire, to be creative to his own will, which was okay, for me. To me, to play his music was pure ecstasy.
But he used a lot of dissonance, or what?
Yes, he did. He's very attracted to dissonance. He's made statements, I use music as an irritation. And, a lot of people actually find dissonance, minor seconds and minor thirds, irritating. I myself think dissonance is beautiful. I always was attracted to 12-tone music, Schoenberg, Arnold Schoenberg, and Alban Berg, and a lot of, say, jazz, free jazz blowing, post-Ornette Coleman. I always like that. To me, dissonance can be as beautiful as, snow falling.
Yeah.
I really like it.
So what was the main difference between working with Bernstein and with Beefheart?
Well, despite the fact that they both names started with B, let's see. Bernstein's music was definitely more eclectic than Beefheart's. In this piece that I worked with, the Mass, there were quite a lot of different music. It had a lot of different movements, actually, and so I was playing in a lot of different styles. and Bernstein moved from, American jazz idioms, rhythmic pieces to Gregorian chant-like pieces in this piece, because it was his version of a Catholic Mass, And to work with him, I mean, he was a very strict conductor, but, he was pretty easygoing, and I remember talking with him after our concert in Vienna. He was friendly and, talked a bit about, like, modern music. Beefheart, Dan Van Vliet, on the other hand, was maybe more of a disciplinarian in that when we got together to rehearse, we were very, very careful to interpret the pieces, just how we wanted them and not to get too free with our phrasing or anything. I mean, in the Bernstein music, you could be freer. There's more of a romantic, shall I say, impulse in a lot of his music, and which I like too. With Beefheart, it's more like a classicist, and I think, he has more of a stern understanding of what he wants his music to express. And therefore, the band had to be very, tense and on top of the music so that it would, like, come off precisely.